Okay, so this system is called, what did he call it? Forget, shoot. Okay, doesn't matter. So I just started doing this, but to just recap, we're going to use Post-its, or we could use colored note cards. He said that they had cards printed, you know, in that specific color, just because they all use this system of project management. So, but across the top, they call them stories, we would call them projects. I think it'd be easier. So all the goals go along the top, the big idea goals. Underneath them, and along the top, these are prioritized left to right. On the left are the projects that are the higher priority. And you might even call it, you know, priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. Yes, perfect. And then underneath them are all of the tasks associated. And so if you're the person who's in charge of X, Y, and Z, and you know what it's going to take on your end, you're putting your stuff up there, I'm putting my stuff up there, what's going to happen? Like if it's sell, you know, your foot scrub on Etsy, then everything that needs to happen in order to do that, or if it's business card. Okay, so, and then this was interesting too. So, you pick 2 or 3, probably 2, along the top 2 priority, and then you put in a little stop sign. And that tells everybody you finish all the stuff, all the tasks before you go ahead, so you don't have too much going on, right? Not too many moving parts. So, and then every morning, you're going to have a 15-minute team. It's called a stand-up because you're not sitting down, you're not meeting. It's like moving. Everything's still moving. We're not getting the idea like we're sitting down, and you just really quickly describe yesterday's work that you accomplished and what you're planning on doing today. And so this is a constantly moving thing. And you know, every morning it should look different. But it's basically a communications piece, so you keep people on track and everybody knows what everybody's working on. Now, the one thing then you do per task is you add stickers, and you know, you can pick, this is just their color code they use. Oh, an impediment, you know, something that's gonna keep you, hey, this task, yeah, it's just one thing, but I've got a roadblock to getting there. Like, it's gonna take me time, I gotta hear back from, I gotta get something in the mail. Anything with an impediment has a red dot next to it, the red sticker. Blue dot means it's open and being worked on. Green means it's done. And I wrote that twice. Oh, you can put it on the story itself too. You can put a green on this. So when you're reviewing it real quick, you know, hey, oh look, everything got done, boom, green on there, and then you know we're gonna wipe that story out, that project out, because we're gonna shift everything.
Okay, so then instead
we don't have to do this.
Well, right, but so then that would solve this,
right?
Which would be the second sheet.
Oh, it's this. Sorry, it's the back of this. The high priority, low priority.
Right.
Agreed.
Because then we would have. I like it better to have the sticker.
And here's what I would suggest. I would suggest that we can feel free to have a file of upcoming stories that aren't even on there yet. Like, hey, they don't even deserve to be visible.
Because in our index box.
Sure, whatever. I'm saying something that you know is going to be on deck.
Yeah.
But we don't want to clutter up. Like, we maybe only want to have 4 things on here.
What about a waiting list?
Right. That's it. Right. So there would be a waiting list, sure. Then let's keep that here. Let's keep a notepad.
We need a waiting list.
Right.
And a notebook of waiting
That's
lists.
right. That's right.
So
or a note card. Like, whatever. I know. Probably notebook.
We need a waiting list system?
Sure.
Or a waiting list?
I think your idea, I think it's good to have a waiting list, and then like to do a file thing.
Okay.
You know, we could do a waiting
part.
list per category. Waiting list of, like, I'm thinking we should each have, for each category, there should be a naturally inspired blue story. Let's have 2 for each category. So we'll have 6 across the top if it fits.
Okay.
And then we can file the on deck. That's, you know, like in baseball, it's on deck. You're like next up. We can file, however, what do you, waiting list.
And then we wouldn't need next actions either, because when did
right, because you'll start right, and you don't need to. No, I don't think so. We won't need to think it through until we're there. So we won't waste time going through all the steps. We'll only do it once, you know?
Yeah.
And then it'll force us to focus on all the steps required, and then we can work together on who needs to do what along the way. And then we can say, these are my to-dos, these are my takeaways. And then you go and work on it, and then you come back and say, here, I did my XYZ.
These 2. Maybe, you know how you do a journal this way, and then you flip it and do it this way? So you can have 2 going on at the same time. Maybe we could do that with
one piece of paper, is that what you're saying?
the waiting list, a journal entry.
Journal entry.
For the waiting list. So the waiting list will be the regular way, and then flip it over for the someday maybe, like a wish list. So waiting
or
list,
what if it's
wish, like something that you really want to do, but
sometimes I see what you're saying, and then you can almost print it up that way. Is that what you're saying? So that the one side is one thing.
no, I'm not talking about paper. I'm talking about a book. Entries for the waiting list.
Oh, you're flipping the whole book.
So wish list,
yes.
I mean, waiting list is going to be here.
That's a way to use both. It's a 2-sided notebook.
And then we do.
That's it. It's like in each cover
the
says
wish list. Something.
So right. So this side says wish list, and then this side
one
says
is waiting because it's definitely going to get done. Flip it for your wish list.
And you know what? Then I'd like to
do
as part of that system, I'd like to have, when it gets crossed off, I want the date beside it that it went on. You know, like I want us to be in the practice of when you cross it off, the waiting list, I want the date that we put it on here.
Okay.
So next, so that way you know it's done.
So it will be marked like a check.
Right.
We
Sometimes
won't cross anything off.
Sure.
We'll just check it off and then
put
initial and date it, or like put a note over here that
just put like in a column like date.
Yeah.
Date move to.
Yeah, because I want to have a record of everything.
Yeah. So that's good. So I just am saying I want us to be in the practice of, in that book, on the first page, categorizing that. Okay. So then that means every day we get here, the first 15 minutes are spent getting this stuff on the board. So for today, it's this, we're setting up the board. But every day after this, when we're both here, then we'll walk away with our to-dos. And then that, it's like a so it forces transparency, and it makes you swarm. I feel like it's not on you enough. Because swarming is like smaller focused work until you finish it and then you move on. So it's less ADD. And then a sprint is just like what it sounds. It's a time period of 2 to 4 weeks when the team identifies the stories. Oh, this is the Scrum board. We don't, whatever. He's like, you can call it whatever you want, but that is what it's called. And you work, it's like a period of 2 to 4 weeks. That's the time frame where we're working on all these tasks. So I guess you don't necessarily rearrange this as I'm reading this and not understanding it better. You're not necessarily rearranging, you're setting it up, and then you're doing